Welcome back to the Ravens Chronicle. Today we have Jeff Malek. Jeff is a French guy who moved to Canada around his 20s, where he played football, American football in this case. He also went back to France, where he's actually got trained to become special force, and he changed his mind. Now, please tune in. You're going to hear about his stories. You're going to hear about his entrepreneurship in Canada and what he's thinking about what's going on politically right now in Europe. It's actually quite interesting. We touched about history, conspiracy theories, so on and so forth. Tune in. You're going to like that one, I guarantee.
All right.
Okay, don't talk about private parts falling out of shorts, John.
I'll try my best.
All
Welcome
right.
back to the Raven
Yeah.
Chronicles. Because we've been talking about small shorts. Let's introduce our guest today, Jeff Malek. So Jeff, you've done so many things. You've done from American football. You're from France by all means. You live now in BC, but you're an entrepreneur. You are martial arts. You're into, the big qualities that I've seen into your bio is teamwork and discipline, commitment, right? Those are the three that you're all into it. We've been following each other. We've been talking to each other for a while, not only in English. I think we vary from French and English and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So I wanted you to come today. because you're doing so many things. Your hands are on everything, everywhere. And I think people would gain from it. And that is from, the French side of Canada to the English side, both of them. I love what you do. And let's talk about it. And then let's go on a tangent. If we get to talk about small short, we'll talk about small short. But please, can you give us a small, brief introduction of who you are? So for our listeners.
Yeah. So as you know, it's complicated to find a way of where I should start, but because I did so many things, I'm still young and I have still a lot coming up. But so barely, I'm from France, the southwest of France, exactly the Basque country. It's southwest, like in the top, just at the border with Spain. So I'm born and raised over there. So just for the listeners, for the people that listen to us, sometimes I can lose my words in English. My first language is French, from France, and
Which is different than Canadian French.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's if you speak French, if you try to learn French, it's easier for you to understand me than maybe John.
Great.
Sorry, John, but this is what I heard about people like.
And we're already going to go on a tangent here.
Yeah, that's all good. That's what we're here.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
See you later. Goodbye. I'm the only English guy here today, so I'm the odd man out. Sorry, carry on, Jeff.
And so I used to play American football, not soccer, for 11 years. I started football when I was a teenager at the age of 14, and I fell in love with that sports when you can hit people and it's allowed. And I didn't know about martial arts at this time. I tried to find myself. And I've been into this adventure that is football. That is really it's from America, so I like the mindset. The teamwork. Like it's a good, like it's individual, but it's also a great way to progress as a team. And I really like it because I can give my best by myself for the team, and you can build something crazy. For football, I know there is a lot of different sports that I did too and tried, but football like drove me. And I played in different level in France. So I come from a place that rugby is the main sport, like it's the most popular sport. So it was quite difficult to make you space, but I did it. And I've been into so in France is different, but it's a high level school for American footballer from France. And I integrated the French national team as a junior. So I did the World Cup, the European Cup, and I finished. So I won. We won the French Championship in D2. We did the Division 1-2, and then I went to Canada for the first time in 2013. Well, I've been recruited by a here. I'm not sure what is the correct definition of cégep.
College.
College, yeah.
Okay.
So I just had 1 year because of my age at this time. I think I was I think it's 21. I was 21, and I was like, okay, let's go. I've been over there. I did a great season. 5 different universities wanted to recruit me, so I choose the Université de Sherbrooke.
Yep.
For different reasons, and finally it wasn't for me. I loved football, but the football became a Canadian football. That is three
3 downs and out.
3 downs, yeah. And
Yeah.
I didn't find myself into this kind of football, and studies are not for me, not that
Mhm.
much. I mean, especially university. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not willing to pay that much money just to play football. And even
Oh
if
yeah,
I was good at it,
coming from France, you need to pay the full rate, right? You don't pay the Quebec rate, which is like $1,000 per
at
year.
this time, I think at this time the law just passed. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
think it was $6,000 for 6 months, and I was like, I won't pay that, for just to play football.
Yeah.
So it was a hard decision because at this time I've been like into football for 10 years.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? So beside I was a welder. So Jason, I told you, like, I recognize myself into your story at some part because we have a kind of same adventure, in life. And welding is I went to school and learned weldings into the construction into this industry. And so I wanted to become a police officer too, or to go in army at this time. um, uh, and I needed to become a permanent resident at least. And decided to go as a welder. I found a job as a welder, and next to that, I decided to play football and try into semi-pro. So in Canada, I played 1 year, and beside I used to work by night, so it was really hard to find a way to stay in shape, to play the games, and be effective at the job to not get hurt because it's a dangerous job too.
Yeah.
And so we finished champion of Quebec because it was the Quebecois League, the Quebec League. And after that, I decided to stop. It was too much. And so after I tried to find myself, I tried to find everything to become a permanent resident. And the way was really difficult. And it was like, I can't I can't be a welder anymore. Like being inside in a shop, for 8 hours. Like I didn't like it. It was too much a routine for me, and I didn't like this routine. And I always be driven by army because my father did 20 years into the special forces in France. And so I always been raised in around this kind of mentality and military stuff. And yeah, my dad was my kind of hero, and I wanted to be like him one day. I always say that I'm going to be a military. And at this time, so I had a girlfriend, I had an apartment, I had a good situation in Canada, and I decided to leave everything. And I went back to France. So just for your information, some people think it's still mandatory to go to be into army, to do army for 1 year. It's not anymore since a long time. I decided to do it by myself. And I enrolled in the same regiment of my father, that is the Special Forces Regiment. So in French, good French, Le Premier RPMA. So it's the first regiment of paratroopers and marine infantry.
Yeah.
So it's like the GTF2 in Canada, or Navy SEALs in the US, or it's the French SAS to be correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So my dad did 20 years over there, and I enrolled as a civilian because they allow it as a citizen to enroll directly, because normally you have to go through the regular army and then try your best to be selected. So now in France you can do both. You can be a military or a civilian, and after the first 3 months where you learn how to become a military guy, they join both of them. So you have the military guys that are in career, and the civilians, sorry. And you continue the trainings. Here it's a total of 1 year, to be exact, before being kind of chosen by a group. I mean, you have to go through it, and after a group can see what, like it's like a draft. They pick you depending what you want to do. If you're in the best, you can choose the group you want to go. If not, they just pick you up. And for me, it was something. I mean, you were in the GTF too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how is the training? It's really hard. It's a lot of sacrifices. You ask yourself a lot of questions during that training, and so for me, around the end of it, I was like, I don't know. So I'm really spiritual,
Okay.
and I think I discovered a part of myself into that training, and the voice tried to talk to me all the time and be like, it was kind of okay. You did your experience into that.
Yep.
Now you have to get out of here. And it was like, I don't know how I feel. Like, should I continue or not? Because I love the job by itself, but the goal behind this wasn't aligned anymore with me, with myself. And it was like, okay, am I ready to sacrifice my life? Because army, you have to sign a contract.
Yep.
So when you're in a training session, like you can leave or they can kick you out.
Yep.
So you still have the choice. But by the time you sign up this contract, you stuck for 3 to 5 or 7 years. And if you leave, you've seen like a traitor.
Yep.
If the word is correct, and you can go in jail.
Yeah.
Deserter.
So yeah. So I was like, okay, I still have the choice, but I know I want to do that. I mean, I sacrificed so many things in Canada and stuff like that. All the preparation to enroll into that, as a civilian, like it's something. You don't have any experience, but I did very well with other guys that are civilians, and I was like, should I continue? And I tried my best, and life just put me shit all the time on my way. Like I did mistakes that I used to never do, like forgetting my compass, my sometimes the worst thing you can do is forgetting your firearm.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing you can do, and I did that. By the end of, I never did any mistakes like that, and more just added up just like that, and was like, what's going on? It is me. And I felt frustrated against myself.
Yep.
And also I was like, it is the good world or not? And this regiment is in the town when I've been raised. So I have a lot of friends that are in this regiment. And you know how it works. Like, people see you. They see who are the next guys coming into this regiment and going to be an operator. And so a lot of them knew me or knew my father. Except for some people, they think it's like it's helping. It's a huge pressure when you have your father that have been in the same regiment. And the guy with me say like, yeah, it's easy. I mean, your father was here. They're going to choose you because he was great. And he was one of the greatest in this regiment, for real. And I was like, no, it's not. I got a pressure because they know my name. They know how I look like, and I don't know who is looking at me. So I have a big pressure.
Expectation.
Yes. And a mix of everything was like, I think I did mistakes. And at some point I talked with, and I was surprised too. I think I had to live this experience because being into a government system, I figured out that there is some good people that are aware, that are aligned with their values, or that are awakened spiritually and like about everything about the system. And finding those people that were a bit like me, I was like, okay, interesting. So I have to dig into that. And they gave me some advices and told me, if you don't do it, it's okay. You're not your father.
Yep.
And it's when someone told me that, I was like, that's true. I think I'm doing that for my father because I always wanted to find a recognition from him. Like, I wanted to be proud. I wanted him to be proud of me.
Yep.
And because it was really proud. I mean, there is everything to be proud of it, but it wasn't me. I did it for him.
Yep.
And I was hearing that from someone that is like from inside the system and the army was like, whoa, okay, it's okay to not be aligned anymore. And I decided it was really hard, anyways, to quit. I don't really like to say quit. I think
you made the choice to leave. That's
yes, and it's hard to do because you know how you ask yourself questions all the time, and you're like, okay, am I doing the good thing? Should I leave? Should I stay? and I decided to leave. And it was something, I think it's the best thing I did in my life. Even if sometimes afterward I was like, did I did well? Like, I should left. I should stay.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, 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 because, and especially after what's happening with the COVID and stuff like that, the vaccines and stuff like that. I'm against it. I have my thought about it, and I know that when you stay in this kind of system, we've seen a lot of stories about it with what is name? I think it's Dallas. Yes, Dallas.
Yeah, that's Alexander.
Yeah, we've seen the story and where it can go really far. And I'm a guy of value and principles, and I was like totally against it. So I'm like, I did well, because in this situation you stuck with the contract that can put you in jail if you don't follow the orders and stuff like that. So it was like, eesh. I did well finally. And you know what? I don't spit on army or whatever it is or the goals are. It taught me a lot of things about life, values, knowledge, and how to become one of the deadliest men in the world. They teach you how to kill people. And I decided to use it in a good way and to offer it to people after that. So just after that, I decided to go back in Canada. And what is funny is, like, when I told that to some of my friends in the regiment, they told me, because I wanted to become a police officer after that, to be more aligned with my values, like to help my community, my people, the people that talk the same language as me, that have the same culture. For me, it makes more sense that to go in Africa or in the Middle East to do some stuff that is just about interest for the elites, that the people that over us. So we're just a number, and I didn't want to become just a number. So I want to become a SWAT. I think it's ERT in Canada member. I always try to reach out the best level. Football was like French team, and and maybe the pros. Army was special forces directly, and police same. And I did the move again. So I went back to Canada as a welder because it's easier. And next to that, I'm really passionate by survival, bushcraft, martial arts, all the cool things, that you can do. And I came back to Canada and I started MLK Abilities in 2020. So just before the pandemic. And at the beginning, it was just about teaching how to shoot firearms to professionals and civilians. So and at this time the ban occurred, so you couldn't have any more AR-15, or you can have a Glock, but most of the professional, they use AR-15. And when the ban occurred, I was like, well, life is teaching me something again. So what I should do? And I was like, okay, maybe I should try boot camps activities, something that is open to more people than just professional or civilians that that have firearms. So I was like, okay, why not just open it? So I still continue to offer. Today it's CQB. CQB course. We used to do introduction into long range shooting, but now it's still more complicated. So we stopped that in Quebec. And my team was built like with good people that I met, and now we just teach boot camp activities. So it's a kind of military style training, where we use military stretchers, jerry cans. We use so I built an obstacle course in Quebec. So we started with that, and we teach people how to survive, like make a fire, make a shelter, filter water, how to apply a tourniquet, and how to work all together as a team during 2 days or 1 day, depending what is the length of the boot camp. And people learn about themselves. So this is like army, but accessible for people that want to try it without enrolling into army. Or maybe people are not sure. They're like, is army done for me? Okay, come try MLK. We're going to offer you kind of boot camps. We're going to push you physically, mentally, teach you good things. And at the end, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to give you my like, are you able to do that when it's time to go into army or not? And or
Air Force. If they're not army, they go Air Force, right? That's
Yeah, this little war. Yeah, you can go and you can go drive plane if you want to, but or go into the with the Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, you can. I can tell them they can see what they're capable of or not, and it'll help people to find it can help. So for me, I wish I would do that before because
Yeah.
maybe it would help me to know, okay, do I know everything about this? Am I capable? So I know I'm capable. I just decided to not continue, not because I was bad at it. I knew I could do it.
Mhm.
I have no shame to say like, yeah, I just quit the special forces because it wasn't for me. I thought, but I tried. At least I tried, and I'm not like, oh, I have so many regrets. I should have tried it, and
Yeah.
So no, I did it. It brought me a lot, and I can teach that and give it to people now, and it makes sense for me. And yeah,
Well,
So go ahead, Jay.
yeah, no, it sounds like one of the things that you can offer is this ability to know yourself and to
Mhm.
not beat yourself up, right? Because
Mhm.
you said a few things when you were talking about your history, and one of them was that somebody kind of had to say to you, "You're not your father. Y- You don't have to do this in order
Yep.
to, quote, prove yourself." And so, now that you're able to teach people this, you're also have that humility that you've learned in discovering that you just have to be, you just have to like who you are. It doesn't matter what the rest of the world thinks of you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
there's something strong there, and I think a lot of men goes through that. I had that. I can tell you I had that. The difference is I joined the military to do the opposite, right? But my dad was well known, is still well known in his trade. He's known in France for what he does,
Oh
and
yeah.
in different countries. He's a psychologist, but
Okay.
um, I was expected, right, to go into psychology
Mm.
to take over him, right? Over, and that was their plan, like not officially, but um, that was their plan for me to go back to school, to go to school as a psychologist and take
Mhm.
over his business. And I did the opposite. I went to the military, but but
And do
there's
you regret it?
yes and no. After 4 or 5 years now of therapy, I
Mhm.
can honestly tell you that I wouldn't be able to handle that much trauma day after day,
Mm.
Yeah.
right? And I think it needs a very strong mind um, to listen to people day after day after day, because same as police, right, or first responder in general, they attend to crisis just day
Yeah.
after day after
Mhm.
day, and it piles up. Um, Now, for psychologists, they're not in a crisis mode, but they're in crisis mode. You know what I mean? So it's heavy. It's heavy,
Yeah, you
and
have to be able to when you leave that place, like where you work, you have to be able to let everything that you accepted and received during the day from those people events, depending way what you do, you have to be able to let this at the door and be like, okay, this is my job, but now I go back to my family
yeah,
or to my recreation or whatever,
yeah,
and be able to live without it when you pass that door. Like it's hard
Mm.
to do that.
It really is. Yeah. That's a skill that most people don't have.
yeah.
You
I don't have
tend
that.
to, and we've talked about this on the podcast. You tend to
Mhm.
wear your career and your life on you like a suit,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
everybody sort of tends to bring the poison of work home with them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because you care, because we are good people, we want to help people. We
Mhm.
we we don't do this kind of experiences. For me, it's kind of experience. I can't say I did a career. I would be a liar. But so I did experiences because I wanted to. I didn't do it for me. I did it because it makes sense for me to help people, like in another place in that world, or in the world, or in another place in the country as a police officer, whatever. And now today, as for MLK, it's to help people. I don't do it for. Yes, I do it for myself because I love it. I want to do a job that I love, and where I can share people at the same time, because we love people. Even if all the reason are made in this world today to be like, I'm pissed off of people because this world is becoming crazy, but we still have this hope to make the world better tomorrow,
Yep.
and to help people to be protect them, because we protect her, so we care about people.
Mhm.
And so I
Mm.
think this is why it's hard to separate that, like to separate the job and our lives, and and our people, like our family,
Yep.
because they are affected by that too.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, and that's a form of selfishness, I think, that is okay.
Yep.
You know, like if you're serving
Exactly.
people and you love it, yeah,
Yep.
that's selfish because it's a self-interest.
Yep.
You don't want to do something you hate, but you're
But it's
also
okay
giving
to be
back. Yeah.
selfish.
Yeah,
It's
that's
okay
a
to be
kind of
selfish.
selfishness that is okay,
Yeah.
Jeff. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how's MLK doing?
Well, it's still kind of new because it's since 2022 we had the COVID,
Oh,
so
yeah, it
you
was
know
kind of on
it's.
hold, eh?
But I survived it,
Mhm.
and I mean, I should say we, because it's not just because of me; it's also because of my friends. I can say my friends that are now still in Quebec, running the activities. So you know those people. My colleagues are.
When you say those people, do you mean the Quebecers? Those people? I agree with you 100%. Those people.
Well, when I say those people, it's my friends
I know,
in
I know, I
Quebec.
know.
Yeah. We'll
No
put a little
offense here.
disclaimer in there. That's not a classic those people kind of line.
And I try to do it with my words in English. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all
please.
good.
It's okay, man. It's fun. This
Yeah.
is hey, the number of time I got grilled and I'm still getting grilled.
Yeah.
It's your turn. It's all good.
Okay, fair. Okay, I got a ticket. But yeah, those my friends over there, they are doing great, and they love it. You know, they told me, I want to be part of this adventure, and I don't ask any money for that. I say, yeah, man, uh, I hear you, but for me, I don't know how you say that correctly in English, but it's like every work deserves a salary
Yep.
or money, and so for me, it's I'm gonna give you what I can because it's still new. You have to understand how is MLK is everything from my pocket right now. You know,
Yeah.
I give my money and my energy for people, and it's not easy today. I mean, it's easy and not easy depending what you want to do. And what I want to do is the opposite of what the government wants:
Mm.
make people stronger, independent, resilient, aware, and ready. You
Yep.
know, and healthy and stuff like that. So on every level, like physically, mentally, emotionally, and everything. So it's hard because I'm not really helped by, I would say, like big corporation or whatever. I'm not searching for that either. But it's something. It's
Mhm.
most of the time are like, it is legal what you do about the CQB stuff. Yes,
Yep.
it is. Are you sure? Like I heard it's not legal to train militia,
Yeah.
militia,
Yeah.
but it's legal, and we use airsoft because it's a great tool and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard to evolve in that world where everything is really like you have laws everywhere, ban everywhere. It's really easy to point us with the finger and say, hey, those guys are doing crazy shit, like look at what they do to civilians. They help them. Yeah, they help them to be resilient, to
Mhm.
not being like yeah, okay, I'm gonna call 911 if something happened. Yeah, you can call them to have backup, because I would say it's not really first responder, it's like a second responder. Your first responder is yourself.
Yeah.
are you
Mhm. Yeah,
are
that
you
makes
able
sense.
to handle the situation you're in? So you are in, so like you get assault by someone, you're the first responder. Like what do? Do you fight back,
Yeah.
or do you run? It's okay to run sometimes. Like if someone threat you with a knife, just run and try to do 911 at the same time or afterward. But you are the first responder. You the guy that make decisions, and every decision has a responsibility after that.
Mhm.
Yep.
Or are you ready
Absolutely.
to handle it? Like if you get assault and you know how to fight, and you put that guy in a bad situation afterwards, like, good for you. At least you
Yeah.
better to be in jail than dead.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just teach people to take care of themselves and their family, and to
Yep.
be protectors, and to not depend on people. I mean, they are here for a reason.
Mhm.
They're good. If you need them, they're gonna help you as a second responder, like as a backup. But you should be able to be. Sometimes it's better to do it by yourself. You better serve by yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't spit on. We need a bit of everything in the world, but we should not forget ourselves.
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
you're right. And I mean, look at a place like Jason where you were working. What is the furthest point you can go? in your district that you're at, in your location?
Yes. Well, from end to end, it's more than 350 kilometers.
So like the time the police will show up.
Sometimes our response, it depends on the day, but sometimes our response could be more than an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just geography. It's like northern Quebec. If you're in northern Quebec and you're hoping that the RCMP is coming, or the provincial
SQ.
Quebec,
Yeah.
the Quebec police,
Yeah.
might be a long time, right?
But even in town, I mean, last time I was a doorman. I used to work as a doorman in a bar, and there is a guy really like high, and he tried to make trouble. And I was with the owner, and we tried to calm down this guy. He just wanted to make shit, barely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I say, okay, call the police. Like, we're gonna try our best, but and as backup. So we called the police. 20 minutes later. So because we are aware, we know how to fight. We are the guy that can't manage it and at least win if we have to go in a fight.
Yeah.
But let's talk about just a woman at 2 a.m. in the morning going back to her place, and there is that guy that just wants to rape her.
Yeah.
That's sad, but it happened every. I don't want to say about it. It's the truth. Like every day, you have someone that get raped because they are in a bad situation, and not because they want it. It's just because the evil thrive. The evil is here.
Yep.
And you can't just delete it. It's here. And what happened when the police show up after 20 minutes? It's not because they don't want to. It's just because they can't. They don't have the organization, the tools, the manpower to respond now. They can't just I spawn and I'm here for you.
Yeah. Well, and Jeff, we all know this. Police just respond once the incident is over. It's not like all the movies where we prevent crime in the future, right? It's not like we see into people's minds. We're always reacting to what happens. So I really liked what you said about it. The world takes all kinds of people, but if there was more men and women that had the training and the ability to be resilient, to have self-responsibility, to be less reliant on the government and municipal forces, that knew how to survive and thrive on their own without being dependent on anything. If there was more people like that, I think society would be better.
Well, yeah, but I agree with you. But right now, what is in effect, I'm sorry, it's to not do that, right? The government, well, first, if you're looking, and by all means, we can go on a tangent because I love it. And I mean, Jay, you don't have to speak because
I'm all about it. It's all good, man.
Perfect. All right, let's do it. So, I mean, the AR-15 is the platform that is used by the US and Canada for our military firearms, our police firearms, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Now, Canada, for some odd reason, the only way you can have automatic firearms is in the military. For some odd reason, the police doesn't have it. By all means, I don't think it's.
You don't have it in police?
No, they don't. No, it's a single shot. Yeah,
our special forces guy, like our
ERT.
Our ERT, and we have a level above in the OPP called True Tactics and Rescue Unit, which is like the high-end elite SWAT. I think they're C8s. They might even use like the 9mm style platform that has like a 3-shot burst, where the selector switch goes from like single shot semi to 3-shot burst, but that's the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so we don't have
no automatic at all.
But the funny part, and especially in the list of what they started with 1,500 or 1,200 firearms, and then they went up to, I think they added up 2,000 more. Anyhow, and I mean, they say that it's assault rifle, which there's shotgun in it. So we kind of lost track of whatever we're doing.
Bolt action.
Yeah, bolt action as well. But why do we have a Tavor or X95, which is the platform used by Israeli military?
But you know why?
Still fully legal. They don't know, but they also put the Black Rifle Coffee listed and those firearms.
I know. Right? I heard that. That's so good, eh? Yeah. Like they really know what they're doing, eh?
Yeah. They don't. And I remember they were on the list. They had they were doing a big speech and they had firearms in the background. It was shotgun. There was not rifles, not even rifle. So yeah, they have no idea. But I mean, disarm your citizen, right? You disarm your population. They rely on you, right? And I'm sure you've seen a difference between, because you live in BC now.
Yeah.
How much? And I mean, I love Quebec. It's a beautiful province, and so on and so forth.
It is.
Not so fond of the system by all means, but the public, the population really needs to hold. They're held by the government. I
This
mean,
is the most comfortable population, I think, in the world. Quebec, you have a really great life over there.
Oh, yeah.
You can't complain in Quebec. And I've heard about it. It's the most comfortable population in the world.
yeah, and they're the most taxed in Canada by all means. But again, they're taken by hand, right? I remember moving out of Quebec, and I'll give you a simple example, Jay. And I mean, more you move west in the country, more your insurance costs you money. I don't know if you knew that, but at 16 years old, I
see that, yeah.
registered my car. Yeah, I'm sure BC is expensive. So I moved to Quebec. I had my first car. Cost me $400 a year. Why? Because the government pays half, technically. And then I moved to Ontario. Then my insurance 10 years later was $1,200. I'm like, I thought that it was supposed to go down as you get older and more, you know. And then I moved here, $2,000. Never had an accident.
Wow.
And then you move to BC. I mean, it's different, but it's the same.
It's the double. It's the double in Quebec.
Yeah, it's totally insane. But then, like, you pay less there. You pay more taxes on your you pay more taxes on your land because you have the school tax and so on and so forth. But school costs nothing, and university, right? You were talking about $6,000, which is roughly the average for a semester in Canada. Unless you go to Queens or I think Western in Ontario, where it's more expensive. Quebec is $1,000 per semester for Quebecers. And I can tell you, my father was in university in 79. The price has not raised yet, or not much. Wow. So in over 40 years, it has not raised.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, is it? Are they comfortable? Yeah. Are they? But I don't think people are aware of it too, of what's going on. Like financially,
this is what I mean. Like they are already protected, but like in Quebec, people are really protected. You can have a good life. Like if you work, if you have a good job, you can be. Now it's different too. Like it depends which generation you're talking about, because now it's complicated a bit everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, and in Quebec was. Most people, even Quebec, will say like we are asleep in Quebec. We are asleep. We are sheep. So that's true. That's kind of true. I mean, but now I moved in BC. I could tell you. Should I say that too? I mean, it is worldwide. I don't know. I think, especially in the Okanagan.
Yep.
In the Okanagan, when I am in Penticton, it's in between, between rednecks and liberals. I mean, it's just in between. You go to Vancouver, you're done. Some places in the Kootenays, there is a kind of new age population, but still, you still have like redneck. I say redneck, but no offense like this. This is like people that have common sense, at least. It's between Alberta and BC.
Yeah.
And
I think the word redneck kind of gets thrown around like. The classic hillbilly with a big thing of chewing tobacco in his mouth, and he's dumb as a stump, and he's just a big, farm goon that works on the oil patch and drives a big diesel truck. But deeper than that is that people that are like that are independent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They probably grew up in a rural setting. They know how to survive. They know how to chop wood and light fires and hunt and fish, and you can throw them out in the wilderness and they won't die in an hour. And so I think that's probably
it's not negative. It's not a negative word when I say that.
I would be referred to as a redneck just because by virtue of being in the middle of nowhere and being in a small town and being a farmer and a hunter and a fisherman, people would call you a redneck. Right?
No,
exactly. Okay, cool, man.
But what you're saying there is totally right as well, because it is the term redneck got negative because of what is shown on TV. And now the question that I will get with this is, why are we putting the term redneck as a negative term when those people are self-efficient?
So they're outside workers. That's why you get your neck burnt. That's the whole idea behind it, right? You're a person that works
Literally,
outside.
like literally, it's like that. It's like it's because you all the time outside and
Mhm.
working and being independent. You know, you
But I
don't
mean,
depend.
why the government would give a negative connotation to someone who can survive on their own?
Oh,
w-
that's
w-
easy.
Right? Well, and that's exactly it, right? Because that
Mhm.
term has been used a lot in the southern part of US, right? When a lot of them as well are doomsday prepper, right? Like that term that has been put in, and that's what it shows on TV or media, whatever that
Mhm.
is that you want to call it. But truly, that they're not what it showed on TV, like that person who, like you said, the chew tobacco and so on and so forth. I think it's because they don't need. Now the government had to put a negative face
Mhm.
so people don't trust. Like there's a mistrust into that type of
But
people.
you know how it works. It's like dividing people. So
Oh
you
yeah.
always find a word that is going to be extreme. It's always an extreme against another. There is no. So for me, to not be political, I try to say there is people that has common sense and people that has, that don't have common sense.
Mhm.
That's it. Because now it's about that. Like, look at how the people can think today. It has no more sense. Like that is about firearms or being healthy, or depending what you eat, what you consume, who you are. It's like you have sense or not. And I mean, I think it's something you can rely on, because or you're conservative or you're liberal or you're redneck or you're from the city, or it's too like there is no something in between that like just make you someone that is normal. Like you have
Mhm.
just common sense. You can
Yeah.
live like everyone with respect, with your own culture,
Mhm.
and that doesn't make you an extremist because you think that way or whatever. So yeah, like just to come back at it, it's just like they try to divide, so they use those kind of words that people from the city mostly don't want to be uh referred of, like no, I'm not a redneck, what are you talking about? Yeah, but you like to go outside and be independent. Yeah, but it doesn't make me yeah, you come from the back country. Yeah, it doesn't make me a redneck. So what's wrong with that? There is nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So what is the good word? Like this is where I start to be a good game to find the appropriate words um, for people. I mean, like it's still dividing people. I mean, we can just be normal people with common sense and that
Yeah.
respect everyone. You know, we are in the same country at least now, so we can live all together.
Yeah.
You make me think of when I moved here to Alberta from Ottawa, right? So obviously city person to move to Alberta, and I moved to Cochrane, which is outside of Calgary.
Yeah.
Uh, so when I did my police course, there's another guy who lived in Cochrane. So it's 100K a day. So I figured that we should just share the drive. And he's like, I'll pick you up. Don't worry about it. Am I right? And Sean is a 6'3" guy. I think he's 275 pounds of pure muscle. He broke, I think, 3 or 4 knees just by falling down. Some of my classmate when we had our fighting class. He's a big dude. And so I got in his truck. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. I think we were going to the gym at first. And he has his Bass Pro Shop hat in the middle of his truck. He had the twang music running, his shit kicker in
It's
between
like
us.
that's like my life outside of this podcast. Except I'm only 5'7".
And I was like, and I looked at him and had a big smile. And I'm like, I'm in Alberta now. He's like, here? You call it
Yeah.
Berta. It's Berta you are. And I was like, all right. But you know what? Like it doesn't matter if there's a guy I would have trust and any call would have been this
Yeah,
guy
man.
by
Yeah,
all
sure.
means. And it's not because where he's from. It's just based on quality, based on values and so on and so forth. Now, because we got into that government subject,
Let's
now
go.
yeah, that's just deep into it. But I mean, we have the censorship in Canada. We don't really hear about what's going on outside of it, except what is shared or allowed to share.
Mhm.
But I don't know for our listener, but something's going on in France, right? I mean, it's going on in Europe in general because I mean, you have Germany right now, the farmers who are doing exactly what the French did, and I mean, French Revolution is coming back really quickly.
I hope
Um,
so.
well, I mean, and we're gonna have to follow eventually if we don't want to be walked on. But
Yeah.
um, can you tell me, like, I know it's regarding a pension plan, government federal pension plan that it started that whole I won't say anarchy. I mean, they're standing up for themselves, so I don't think it's a bad thing. But what was the decision behind this that made them so angry?
Well, politicians for sure are, they don't care about the people. They say, yeah, we care, we try to make you a better life and stuff like that. So we take decisions like they did. So they always try to find a good reason behind this, but we all know that this is just bullshit. So what happened? I think it's the consecutive acts they just, or laws they just passed, and they say, okay, you're gonna accept that, accept this, accept that, and people say no, and the government knows that people don't want it, and so they force it. And in France, we call it the le 49.3. It's the 49.3. It's a special law that allows the government to pass a law.
Okay.
So with the pension, so just before that, because it's just, as I say, it's a consecutive list of laws that they pass against the people that make people more and more in trouble, and so people just can't live anymore. You can't go on a vacation every year now. Now people go on a vacation if they can, maybe every 2, 3, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
As families. So it's crazy. In Canada, you can go in vacation at least like every year if you want to.
Yeah.
But over there, it's not possible anymore. You have to count everything, like your money. Just be careful of your money, because the government going to take everything. Even if you are an auto entrepreneur or you have a company or whatever, you give a lot of money. Like I don't want to say misinformation, but it's a lot of money. They take you as taxes and stuff like that. So people at the end, they work a lot, they work really hard, but they don't have that. There is no more power of I don't know, pouvoir d'achat. You know, the power of
Buying, but like buying,
buying
the
power.
the power of the buyer power.
Yeah.
Something like this, right?
So they don't have it anymore. So even just to put food on the table, it start to become complicated. And you know how it works. Going like this, we lose our local or cultural jobs and food and everything that is about the culture. You start to lose everything because no one can afford it anymore because it has a price. All right.
Yeah.
So now we just depend on the tourist, because the locals can't afford anything anymore, and so it makes life really. You can have a lot of tension,
Mhm.
and when you go over there, they just try to make tension. As we mentioned, they want to divide people, and so what happened with the pension is that they raised the age to be retired. I think by 2 years. I think.
Yeah.
And people I think it's 60. I don't want to say shit. I think it's 65 to 67. If I'm correct, but I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, it's still 2 years. So think about it. It's 65 years old. It's old.
Yeah.
At this point, you want just to. I mean, you should enjoy life before you get retired. But
Yeah.
now it's 65. What's next? I'm gonna work all my life. So you are of those people. They try to get out. So you know what? Just people are struggling to get out of the system to be able to live their life they deserve, and the
Mhm.
people just add more and more
Mhm.
and more, and then you have a tension. And so what they use when they pass those laws, they create. So it's really it's really a big conspiracy theory, but you don't have to be agree with that. But I really believe that all those terrorist attack, some of them are made by the government. And I have a friend that can tell me that. I won't say his name. He was a police officer, and since COVID, he decided to just get away from it because he wasn't agree with what's happening anymore. And the Bataclan, it's the Bataclan. So it's a kind of big room where you have shows in it. It's a really well known place in Paris when you can see really well known shows and artists. And that night you had a terrorist attack, and they came in and they just shoot everyone into that.
Wow.
And the red, I think it's the red or the le GIGN, the special forces from the police came and just did what they had to do, save people. And my friend was one in a squad and they were in position because they were protecting the prime minister, prime minister in France at this time. It's not the same in France. You have the president, the republic president, and you have the prime minister. You know, like
Oh.
the right arm of the president. So he was around, and his squad was around, and they heard fire shot, and they were like, so they decided to intervene. And the highest, I don't know who it was exactly, but my friend is not a liar. I trust him 100%, and he still have a post-traumatic syndrome because of that. You know, it was like because he saw those people just dead on the ground and
Yeah.
moaning and be like, yeah, help me and stuff. And they told them, you get out of here. You don't have to intervene. And they had the firearms. They were ready to go at war against those terrorist people, you know. And they told them, no, it's not your job. You get out of here. You don't have anything to do here. And all those police officers were like, what are we doing? And they were like shocked by the decision made. But you know, you follow the orders or you get in trouble. So they had to leave and let those people die.
Mm.
So this
Insane.
is why I say that, because the more I learn about this, after that there is the World Trade Center. You can find any kind of terrorist attack if you dig into that. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I know too many things that tells me the opposite. And to come back to my story is like, I think they use this kind of act to pass the law in the back of people. So what
Mm.
happened? What happened since the 9/11? It's the 9/11? Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
What happened? You have to present a passport. You can't fly anymore. You have to tell where you go, when you come back, and stuff like that. All the regulations were more and more complicated. In France, a few times ago, there is a terrorist attack. A guy with a knife went into a park, a child park, and just like stabbed babies and people. And it's recorded on the phone of people. No one is.
But that's
Yeah.
another thing, right? The people who actually like witness things like this and
They
they're
don't do.
recording and they don't do anything.
No,
Right.
you can see on the video, everybody is running their life. Like you see a jogger just jogging, like what's going on? Okay, I get out of here. You saw people like just watching, and you see that guy, just the guy with the phone, like recording everything, and you can see the terrorists like running in the park and stabbing people
Yeah.
and babies, and you see that. But you know how it works? It works with emotions. When you
Yep.
have emotions, angriness, like when you get angry, what you want to do, you divide people. So when you see I'm not racist or whatever, but when you see a black guy or a rap guy just stabbing someone, and you're in France, who do you want to hate? Black people or Arab people? So what you do with that? You divide people. So you make the people fighting each other.
Yeah.
And what happened after that? That you create opposite and extremists both sides. Because one wants to defend himself. He said, no, I'm not part of it. You know that. Yeah, but you brother, you know, you're all the same with religion or whatever. And no, it's not that. So, you know, you can say whatever you want. When you have emotion and people get angry, they don't want to talk anymore. They just want to act. And then you create division, and it's easier to control them and to put every laws in the back of the citizens when they are busy to fight each other. And when you show this kind of events on TV. And after that, what happened in this park? It went from we have 5 babies dead to none of them. Okay, so what happened? So it's like something happened, and the next day everything is all right. Okay, and we found a hero from nowhere, like, because there is a guy that came with a bag and just tried to hit the guy with the knife and stuff like that. The police arrived 25 minutes later. And 15 minutes later, sorry. And so yeah, they create a whole story, and in the back of this story, they pass some laws saying, yeah, now we have the right to record in the streets and track people depending what they do. So now they passed a law. Just after that, they passed a law saying the police now can use drone to follow you, to track you, whatever you do. If they have suspicion about you, they have the right to do it. And no one knew about that. So if you don't, because any research today.
Yeah.
They just drop some information and you take it or you leave it, but no one gonna try to know, okay, what's going on behind this. It is true, it is false, what's real, what's not, why it is happening. It seems like too easy. So they use this kind of event that make people more emotional, that build some, like, people get angry against each other. Like, we're all in the same country. Where France is a beautiful country, with people like from a bit everywhere. If you have common sense, you can live with everyone. If by the time you have respect and you can have a bit of love into your next, it's like, it's all right. But now they create division with skin color, religion, terrorist attack, politician extremists from the right, from the left, center. So people in France are fighting each other now. And it's again now, after it's the civilians against the police officers. And when we have a terrorist attack, everybody loves the police officers. So it's like, they play with us, with our emotions, and they in our back. So that's why I always said we live in a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
That seems to be everywhere, Jeff. Like,
It's everywhere the same.
it's not. I mean, it's not just France. John was
No.
saying off camera before, but you can see what's going on in Germany right now. They've got tens of thousands of farmers that are protesting the German government because of tax hikes, I believe, and a whole bunch of regulations that they're trying to put on farming. You can look at the United States, and a lot of people don't know this, but the current sitting federal government in the United States is trying to pass legislation to put dead man switches in every vehicle that drives in the United States.
Yeah.
So now that means that your vehicle will be GPS located and have a dead man switch that the government can shut you down.
What?
Yeah. That's not being shown on CNN. That's not being shown in the legacy media. And then you can come to Canada, where you've got our federal government saying that they need to ban guns for gun safety, but none of the guns that are being used in crime. And I'm a policeman. I know this. I've known this my whole career. So does John. So do you. Just by being smart and having common sense. None of the guns that are being used in crime in the streets are these rifles that are being banned. They're all, the vast majority of firearms used illegally in Canada are illegally imported from the United States.
Bingo.
Because it's so easy to get firearms over there.
Yep.
And so the division you talk about, it sounds, everybody that is not awake to what is going on, they're the ones that say conspiracy theory.
It's easy.
But look around the world, Jeff, right? Look around the world and see how things are just getting worse and worse. It's becoming more divisive. It's becoming more political. They can weaponize any event to split people into camps, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in France, go ahead.
The French first. Let's go ahead, man.
So what you're saying is like the thing with Europe is that it's small territory with a lot of people into that. So when we see that from here, because we are in the large territory with few people on it, so for us it's like, we chill. But in Europe, it's like it's a teeny countries with a lot of people, and it's like lava. Like you just drop, like it's like gasoline over there. You just put a match and it takes fire and it's done. Like you can lose control really easily over there, and we saw that because what happened exactly. So now, I know what exactly. So what happened with the pension stuff? Just after the pension stuff would happen, you had a youth that was a young guy that has Arabic origin. All right, easy target, and the police officer shot him because this guy just stole a car, a sports car, and just tried to almost kill people, and he get arrested by the police, and he tried to run over the police officer, and the police officer shot at him.
Yep.
And so what they use, it's like with the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. When something like this happen with a different kind of skin color or belief, religion, whatever, they're gonna use it to put fire in between people. So this is what they did, and the next day, so in France it's different. So you know, you have big cities, you have suburbans around big cities. We call it les cités en France, les cités around the big city. This is where you have most of people that are from Africa or different countries, because now they build communities, you know. And because media say like, this white police officer shot this young Arab guy for that reason, whatever is the reason, they're going to find a way to say this is wrong, you should be upset. And they started a war. So all the suburbans, in the big cities, started to put fire and to you say smuggle? No, smuggle. The how you say that when you they started to break everything, like with the Black Lives Matter. You know, they
like
put cities.
vandalize.
Yeah, they
vandals,
vandalize. They start to burn their cities, and they try to. Some of them try to say, okay, let's kill some white people. You know, so, and I think it lasts for. It was kind of the movie. What's the movie? La Purge, the Purge.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So, and the government has trouble said, so they almost send army at this time.
Mhm.
And for 1 month, it lasts 1 month, they burned everything, broke everything, and tried to chase. So it was a good time for them to chase the people from different communities they didn't like.
Mm.
And yeah, so it's as I say, it's gasoline, and they just put a match every time into that, and they're like, okay, let's go, let's see the shit show happening. Let's
Yeah.
see that
Yeah.
people are just killing each other.
And I mean, we have. I mean, and younger the people who listen to that type of thing, like faster, they're gonna believe it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
We talked about that before. I mean, I was raised in Quebec, where I didn't learn about Canada history. I learned about the French history. That's
Oh
what you learn
yeah,
in Quebec, right? Oh yeah, you don't learn about Canada. Like Canada is English, and I had a a bit more, I guess, a very nationalist, if we're gonna call that nation as Quebec,
it
teacher,
is.
and he hated English people. Like we were taught English people are bad,
Oh, it's a really
right?
good example, actually. Yeah,
Yeah, and
because
I
I've
mean,
heard about it.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I can give you the same example. When I came to Alberta when I was 18, I was not allowed in the bars. They did not allow me to walk into a bar because my driver license said Quebec.
No way.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
and the funniest part, I'll be honest with you, and I found that Albertans' mentality and Quebecers' mentality are pretty damn close. They're extremely proud of who they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're proud of their culture and what they're doing in their home, and leave them alone. That's all they ask, right? It's the same. It's just speaking a different language, and they're
Mm-hmm.
from different places. But yeah, and I mean, we could go a very long ways, because interestingly, what you're saying is France is getting more and more powers for their police. Now, the difference here is police are getting less and less power. I mean, Jay, I was, I don't know what you call that, but you know, when you come across a person that you should take notes out of it, right?
Yep.
And take whatever little, I don't know, I don't remember what we call it,
We
but
called them street checks.
yeah, that's the same here. Well, I know Ontario was the first place where they were not allowed to make street checks anymore,
Yeah.
right? And
You couldn't even talk. You weren't even allowed to investigatively talk to anybody who was out on the street
just
unless you
walking.
had reasonable and probable grounds to believe they'd committed a crime. So you could ask them about the weather, but you could not ask them their name. You could not ask them what they were doing. You could not ask them where they were going. You couldn't
Yeah.
ask any investigative questions after this law was passed because of a court case that happened in Toronto. Completely destroyed our ability to gather
Intelligence.
information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what it was. Street checks, just for the listeners, street checks were a really important
It's vital.
key to police investigation. And I have a couple of stories I could tell of how street checks actually helped us solve crime. And then what happened was some Toronto police officers were considered to be profiling by doing street checks in low-income areas where there was a lot of drug crime going on. So they were standing there taking people's names and writing clothing descriptions down, because then they could go and solve the crimes the next day that would be happening in the
Yeah.
neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
Well, somebody with enough money and a really good lawyer took this to the Supreme Court, and it was deemed to be unconstitutional. or sorry, that's not really the right term in Canada, but against their human rights. So it was abolished. And so now, like that was going on, that's going back 10 years now, probably eight to 10 years now that this came in. You drive around at night, you're trying to gather intel, but you can't even technically write anything down. You can't put it on the computer system, and you can't take notes in your notebook saying observed person with backpack, green shirt, walking in this back alley, approach them, ask them about the weather, because you're not allowed to ask them questions anymore.
Or saw like a drug dealer named Tanya, and she's with a new person that we never seen, and that's the description, right? Which is insane. But on the same way, and this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's good cops, there are bad cops, and so on and so forth. But that's the same in every freaking job, and that's just normal. So let's just talk about the good one right now, because they're the one who makes the uniform good. Now there's abuse in every way, right? And I heard something, and it's not going to be about police, but I found that very, very interesting. I heard that today. Thanks God to Wheels, because I was bored and I had two kids fighting each other. And it says, if a person with a low income or extremely poor or just trying to survive is willing to screw a bit around to make means end, right? Why a person who's elite will not be willing to screw a bit the people below them to get even more money? And sadly, and it's a conspiracy theory or not, I think we should do like a
No, I
warning.
think we should go there, because I was going to ask Jeff. I think we
Okay.
should go there. What you're saying, John. What is it about all of this? Where is it going, and why?
Yeah.
Like,
For
if you want to go way far beyond this, like it's happening everywhere in Western culture, that that
everywhere.
society is eroding. Why? Why do you think it is, Jeff? What do you think is behind it?
what is the goal? So, what I think, first of all, before being like too sad or negative, the good always win. This is what I think, and this is what I
Yeah.
tell to myself when I'm like, "Fuck, man, we are living in a crazy world."
Yep.
But yeah, the good always win, and the nature is well done. Okay, and nature, and maybe something else. After that, it's about beliefs, but we're not alone here. I think there is something more powerful. It can more than spirituality, that is here to protect us. And if we live what we live today, there is a reason, because it's a kind of balance. It's to find the balance in this world.
Mhm.
And now the balance is unbalanced. It's like the bad is doing a lot of things now, but the karma is a rule of it. Okay, so one day gonna be balanced, but for the moment, the why is like there is I call it the evil. I'm not religious or whatever, but this is the name I give. The evil is about power, money, control.
Yep.
And with that, you can do whatever you want in this materialistic world. Okay.
Mhm.
So what they want to do is it's easier. Like, they don't have to do anything. If we kill each other, if we hate each other, they don't have to. They don't have to engage army or police into those battles that we battle between each other. So we do the job for them, and they just watch. So all they have to do, they say, they create gasoline. That is a different kind of people. Okay, we put them all together, and we try to find a way to divide them. Religion, food, diet, whatever you want. You put a match into it, you let them burn. And after that, when they were brainwashed by different way, like social media is, depending how you use it, because I think social media is a tool. It's a great tool, but
Yep.
people don't know how to use it.
That's right.
So they use social media to go in our brain. Okay, to after that, what we do, we interact with those stuff. They say, yeah, you're protected with VPN and stuff like this. Is bullshit. uh, Everything is controlled by them for a reason. And you can just look at it in the past. It started with radio, after it was TV, and now it's the phone. So they can have intel about us. So they find what kind of people we are, and then they're gonna try to make us match with the completely opposite people to create a war, whatever is the topic. And then they can know more. And with technology, the problem is after that they can start to control us, like as you say with the police in the new law with the police, they can do for just shot you, right? It's, if I understood well, like you, they have more and more control on people. So now they push the electric, but when you have an electric car, you can control the car from distance. So if the government wants, they can control it. So it's all about control, and then to control the smallest amount of people possible, because the more we are, and they say it, they tell it, like Bill Gates and all those the WHO organization, they say that, they say we want to lower the number of people, of habitants on planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, it's easier to control 100 people or to replace them by AI or bots or whatever. The problem is it's that those people, the elites people, they know they are trapped into the trap.
Mhm.
It's a trap for us, but it's a trap for them and their next generation, because they have to live with that and deal with that. But by the time they're gonna lose control of it, they're done. So the humanity is done. So what I think is that they have a goal, but it's a goal with a lot of risk. They are willing to take the risk, and but they don't care about us. The thing they want to enjoy everything we can enjoy on Earth, but not share it with people like you and me. And they don't have to work. They use us to make the money. They use us to offer the services, and stuff like that. So I think it's about control, money, and power. It looks like really basic, but you can do so many things with that. And I mean, look at those people, look at those politicians. They all know each other.
Yeah.
They're all in the same team, and even them, they are used by some people we know and don't know. Like, we know them till a certain limits, like Rothschild, Vanguard, and after its name
BlackRock.
of BlackRock,
Yeah.
it's all companies' names. All right. So after because it's since a long time now. It's since like before 1920.
Oh yeah.
1920 started to be. They started to put like a good concept to control that, to be where we are today, with the first World War, and after the second one.
I think that was
So
Rockefeller that kind of
Yep.
had that ball getting rolling, to create
yes,
monopolies and use psychological warfare on people to have power.
yeah.
Psyops. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's all about power, money, and control, and to have the planet Earth just for themselves, and to enjoy it without dealing with us people.
Yeah.
That
That sounds like I'm only going to say this because I don't have a whole lot of information on this, but it sounds like Marxist, right? Like
Oh yeah,
Karl Marx spoke about this, saying that there was an elite force and then there was everybody else that was a slave to them, doing all the work for the rich. And the
look
rich
at
got
Rome.
richer. Yeah, yeah. And the problem with that is you can't follow Marxism and try and destroy, capitalism and the things that hold up our economy and the basic, dignities and rights of everybody, to say screw the government. There's got to be a better way. But I think I wanted Jeff to express what he thinks, and I believe it the same way to some degree. And I don't know if the conspiracy theory is true, but there's big powers out there that have literal total control.
And they
Google.
don't hide anymore. They don't hide anymore.
No,
That's why we
Google.
can say that.
Yeah, Google owns 91% of the internet, and they can shut it off.
Well, go
You guys
further than
know that
this.
Google did that? They actually shut the internet off once and got away with it as an
Nope.
experiment. Yeah.
When?
I will look it up for the show notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was it was a few years ago, in the middle of the night. Some of the Google techs were like, I wonder what would happen if we did this. And they because
Have fun.
yeah, and they were able to shut the internet off for a few minutes. They control and run 91% of the internet. So that's a global monopoly on the thing that sustains all of human life now, right?
Yep.
Right. So if you get a tyrannical government, or somebody that's tyrannical enough, somebody that's, a real evil psychopath that is in control of those things, most people are doomed because, and I'm going right back to MLK Abilities here, Jeff, and that you're
All
trying to
right.
teach people survival
Yeah.
and life skills and how to be independent and how to sustain themselves and take care of themselves without having to worry about the government or somebody coming to rescue them.
Yep.
They're relying on most people, 80% of the population, being, quote, sheep, being totally dependent on their lifestyle because of the government, right? And the government is pushing for everybody to end up being like that, to have total control. And I, call me a conspiracy theorist on that, but I do believe that that's what's
No, you
going on
just have
in
common
a lot
sense
of places. Yeah.
because you ask questions, and when you have the answers, you like it can't be anything else.
Yeah.
And we are from, I mean, you worked as a police officer or as a military, so we have been into the system. We've been into the system. We know how it works and how it evolved to. So just to let you know, like before who I am now, I was pro government. I was pro police, pro military, pro, like I was shit. I really thought that government was great.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what is funny is that I had to go through army to wake up,
Yeah.
because I was like, hey, there is something weird. So I decided to ask questions. And sometimes the truth is hard. That's why most
Mhm.
people just shut down and like, no, 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 this is no, 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 you crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exactly it. It's the hardest part is not saying no. The hardest part is someone who said no, who actually made the wrong choice. That's the hardest part for a person
Mhm.
to say, I was wrong. That's the hardest part, right? It's like an entrepreneur who hires someone. Everyone can hire people.
Yeah.
But what you have to learn as an entrepreneur is to fire people. Because if the person is not suitable, you will know within a week,
Mhm.
right? People who speak through their hats will show their true color quite quickly. But the reason why they're not fired usually true within a week, it's because the ego of the entrepreneur, the CEO, the person who hired them, is too big to fire them out. Now, the Google blacklist that you said was shut off for 40 minutes at 2:40 p.m. on the afternoon. And I believe it was in 2009,
Yeah. It was some time ago. Yeah.
31st January 2009.
Yeah.
Now, because we spoke about different countries and it's super interesting. And I mean, we could talk about Ukraine because I think that's another funny one, but we're going to get a guy who's Canadian who left everything behind him to actually go to war down there. And we can speak about Ukraine then. But let's talk about Canada for the fun of it. Northwest Territories, the farmers over there are now not allowed to sell their own product to citizens. They have to go through the grocery store to sell their product,
Mm.
which is very interesting. And I think it's totally wrong because they are making direct money, right? To sell
Of course.
to purchase, which makes sense. And we're seeing that as well in Netherlands, right? They're totally freaking shutting down every farmers. I'm going to push it further. And something that happened 2 days ago. You all know right now Alberta is overly freaking cold. But Alberta is always cold during every winter. And I've been here for, Jesus Christ, 7 years, 8 years now. There's not a winter where we don't have a good 3 weeks of horrible cold, right?
Mhm.
This year we had phenomenal weather until the past, whatever, 5 days.
Mhm.
I mean, we could be in t-shirt outside or short even when it was plus 18 last week or 2 weeks ago. We received yesterday, the day prior, a warning saying that our grid in Alberta is not strong enough to maintain the cold,
Mhm. And
right?
what's the difference as compared to last year when it was cold, right?
When it was actually,
Here.
we didn't have 18 degrees last year. We didn't have that warm. I mean, I remember being a cop doing direction like control on the roads because big trucks, big transport trucks, their brake line fluid is frozen and it cannot move. So there's nothing that changed. What changed though is they sign up a contract that there will be no car electric that will be sold by 2035. Right. And now we're having this. I can push it further just for the fun of it. We had a shitload of fire this year. BC had some,
Mhm.
Ontario had some, even Quebec had some, which is the place where we have the most lake and river and throughout Canada. My neighbor, great guy, I won't name him either in case the FBI is looking after us.
Disclaimer.
Is disclaimer: everything I say is wrong. This is not true. Whatever the government say is totally right. I've heard that from, I think it's Andrew Tate that
Yeah, I
released
said it
it.
to you. I said
I'm
it to you.
totally
Yeah.
in.
And woman knows how to drive.
This is just for comedy's sake.
Yeah, this is a comedy. We're just here to laugh.
Yeah, this is a comedy show. Disclaimer. Yeah.
It's not true. We
There's
are fake. We are AI.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're just
Um,
bots. Yeah.
Please let me subscribe and like us
Yeah.
before what I'm gonna say. So there was, I think, over 70 some fires this summer in northern Alberta. And like they were saying, no, it's all natural and it's all natural. And my buddy came back and he's like, yeah, no, it was proven that it was like humans started. Like,
Mhm.
and then whatever, a few weeks later, there's a woman who came out who decided to light up 36 fires. One person decided to take a bunch of paper, light up freaking fire up north. I don't believe this shit. I don't. And I don't know for you, Jay, but you've been a cop, you've seen shit. I mean, even remove the cop aspect, remove the military side of things. Just basic thing. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
So you don't believe that woman did that?
Oh, no. I believe that people did.
Okay.
I do believe, right? I mean, we have the firefighters who actually started a fire in Banff, and I'm 45 minutes away from Banff, and we were in a smog. We were not allowed to leave our house. Like,
I have
not
two
leave our
stories
house,
about the
but
fires. Actually, I have two of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
let's hear 'em.
because I was skeptical about that too. I was like, why they would do that? So same thing. It's really easy nowadays. It's really easy to buy people. Okay, do this. We're gonna protect you, and we're gonna give you a ton of money. All right.
Yep.
So go set a fire. So what happened? So first one is from a friend of mine that is living. He lives in the Okanagan since a while now, and one day he went for a hike with his dog, and he saw a kind of a ranger, a forest ranger, whatever, making some pile of dry wood. Everything you can find in the wood, but they make pile of it. And he was like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Oh yeah, we just prevent fire." And he said, "Like, I'm pretty sure that you are doing the opposite. It doesn't look like you prevent fire by doing amount of wood just like that in the middle of nowhere. Like, there is no reason you do that here." So yeah, it's prevent fire. So it was like, okay. It found it really suspicious, and it followed those people, and those people had government black truck. Government black truck. Those truck that usually it's really, like, I won't say kind of FBI, or I don't know what it is exactly in Canada actually, but people that
Like
are
a black
related to,
Suburban, like that Chevy
yeah,
Suburban classic. Yeah.
Tahoes and
exactly. You saw them leaving the area in those trucks, and 3 days later, he told me like fire, everything was burned behind. Like he didn't live here, but he used to go have a hike over there, and he said it was burned. 3 days later, it was burned. And next time he told to a friend of him that lived in another part of the Okanagan, and say, "Have you seen those guys too?" Because he mentioned that. I said, "Yeah, you're gonna see in 1 week. Mark my words. In 1 week, you're gonna have a fire here." I said, "Yeah, man, you're crazy." 2 weeks later, a fire.
Mm.
And the other one, this one is about the Kelowna fires we had over there. I'm in Penticton, but my wife has a friend over there, and she has a big house, and about, we won't go into that, but those lasers that they talk about, like in Hawaii and stuff like that. So what happened apparently? So the fire were set up weirdly, and they asked people to. So first of all, no one asked people to leave the area. People had to be like, okay, we have to go now. And the firefighters came and saw the fire just at the entrance of the neighborhood, and they just set the trucks and sat down on the trucks. And she was in one of the neighborhood, a neighbor of that girl say, find everything to protect his house. He said, I won't leave that place. I'm gonna protect my house till the end. And apparently this guy was like, the fire came anyway, and he has to run in town by foot. And he said that to those firefighters, what are you doing? Like, try to I mean, like, spray water everywhere, try to maintain the fire. He say, yeah, no, we don't have the order to do that. So what are you doing? So yeah, we just make sure that people can leave the neighborhoods. Yeah, but you don't go to the houses to ask people to leave because there is a fire just at the entrance of the neighborhood. And apparently the firefighter did nothing, not a single thing. They just let it burn.
Yeah. There's a big thing in this, and I mean, I'm gonna round it up to many things that happened in the past 5 years. Let's go with that. Um, and I mean, because we all know what happened during the truckers and so on, right? It did happen that there's some accounts that have been frozen. There's people who lost their houses
yeah.
because they got kicked out, and that's totally there. So there's one thing that the government push into their whatever agenda that they want to get to, and so on and so forth. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of scary to think about it, but there's also another part that is scary: is to what extent are they willing to shut you up?
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen good cops, right, being like, I don't believe in that whole thing that is we're forced into,
Mhm.
but I don't want to lose my job because I'm paying for everything, right?
Yeah.
And I understand this. I understand that toll. I understand that fear. I understand all of this, which then, because right now what we're seeing in Canada is a divide, right? So people are now holding themselves together. And this is why there's such an easy way to push new laws or things and so on and so forth, right? Because if we would be all together, we're stronger, right?
Stronger together.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say.
But now if we're hating each other, because people hated cops like there's no tomorrow during example COVID, when by all means they're the one who are pushing the law, right? But they receive orders from above and beyond, right? The
Yeah.
top of it. And if you have the chance, actually, it's very, very interesting. I did not know that, but I listened to a podcast of Dave Morrow, which is he was named the best podcaster veteran side of things in Canada. And he interviewed the lawyer who is currently fighting for 300, I think 80 soldier who got fired during COVID. And she explained that, the CDS, the Canadian Defense General, the top dog, cannot receive orders from the PMO or the Prime Minister. The only person on top of him is the Queen or the King. That's the person who can say something. I had no clue about that. So who forced them? In that case, it's General Air, because General Air was totally against the COVID aspect until he turned and say, screw that, we're charging them, we're kicking them out. So there is something, and I agree, there's something that is pulled. And thank God we're a small podcast, so that way, I mean, if we would have billion of people, we would have to pay, be under a CRTC, we might already be. Or censorship, whatever you want to call
Well,
that.
if there's censorship, this one ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, we're going in the toilet.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. It is extremely sad as well that those conversations that you agree, and I'm talking about the listener, do you agree or not? We can have conversation, right? We talked about that, Jay, at last podcast, I believe, or
Yeah.
something like this. I think it is important to have conversation, that
It
are
is.
right or wrong. I mean, this is why they used to be, they used to have fable, right?
Mhm.
There used to be a reason why we tell stories upon generation to generation to generation. It's
Yeah.
because we learned. Good example. I don't know if you saw that recent release from Italy, where people are all doing the sign, the
I
high
saw
of
that just
Hitler.
today.
Yeah,
there
I saw that.
hundreds.
What the heck is that all about?
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
I
I
don't,
couldn't find any good information about it.
me neither, but it's a salute that is actually banned in Italy, right? That you are not allowed to do that. It's criminal.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like here where you have Canadian who's going to do it for the fun of it, right? And just being like, look, I'm an idiot. But in Italy, because of the part they took in the Second World War, it is a ban gesture,
Mhm.
which is extremely interesting to see. And seeing that amount of people, and that video doesn't seem to be an old video. It seems pretty recent.
I watched it just today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are going through something, right? And I mean, I talked to one of my friend in US today who was saying, you know, the world's going to shit. And I agree. And she's not a staff surgeon, something above that, master surgeon. I don't know how you call it in US. I don't know their ranking perfectly. But I'm like, maybe our military should do a bit less of TikTok and a bit more of military things, right?
Mhm.
There's a report this week, Jay. I don't know if you saw that, and Jeff, I don't know if you saw that, but there's someone in Kingston, I believe it's Kingston, who is a prostitute and who's offering discount to military people because it's her fantasy. And if they're taking your in uniform, is a different level of discount. And the military police are trying to, you know, squeeze her because it's illegal, right? Prostitution
Of
and I
course.
mean solicitation is legal. But this is
Prostitutes are protected in Canada now.
they're protected, but solicitation is illegal.
Yeah, for the John it is illegal. For the prostitute, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's that whole thing that is going on right now, and I think we're focusing on the wrong thing.
Of course we
We
do.
are like we could go a long time. I mean, it's been an hour and a half, but like simple as UN as the secretary is from Iran, which is another crazy thing. When I mean they're not people who are
So there is something. The bigger it is, the more they're gonna believe it. Like the more it pass. Like the bigger it is, the better it pass. Like I don't know if it's that in English too, but when it's big, like people are like so. I don't know. Maybe people are so shocked that they say that whatever. You know, it's one more crazy thing. What you want to say anyway? We don't have any words anyway. Um, I think this is a belief that we have the power by voting.
Yeah.
I think that the best, and it's my opinion. Okay, since the beginning, it's my opinion, and as you said, we talk about it because you have the right to ask those questions, to talk about it, and we should. But if we do, it's because something is happening, and deserve like to take time to talk about it and listen to it. But yeah, what I want to say is my opinion is you vote by the way you consume. You don't vote by putting a paper in a box, because nowadays we've seen that with the US with Trump. Whatever you like him or not, I don't care about politicians, whoever they are. I don't trust them at all anymore. But I think we consume and we can change the society depending how you consume. So if you want to eat well
Mhm.
and local, this is how you change the world. It's not by going to Walmart, and we all go to Walmart at some point. I mean, we're
Mhm.
not perfect, but it won't happen like from a day to another. It's step by step.
Yep.
It's and it's related to MLK. It's to give you back the give you the power back to take care responsibilities, because we all have responsibilities to become. So my quote is to become the best version of yourself,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's working on those aspects, not to be like a lone wolf and do your stuff. No, it's to be stronger as an individual and to make your community, or whoever it is, your neighborhood, your family stronger, and you can rely on everyone around, and you can trust everyone around you. And because those politicians, like, I don't really believe into one person that leads a country, because people in Quebec don't live the same way that in Alberta or whatever. So you can't tell to people you have to live this way
Yeah.
because it's good for everyone. No, it doesn't work. We have to go back to the basics, and this is what I like to do. Not just the basics of responsibilities, what you're able to do or what you should be able to do, like defend yourself, eat well, working out, stuff like that. It's also like, okay, in my community in BC, I mean, Indio Kanagan, it's really hot here, so we have a way to live and to help each other, especially when it's really dry and stuff like that. So how can we be stronger together and not rely on the government, that our laws and how you said that, like how the government, sometimes the government can't help us because they don't have the
Resources.
the resources for that. So this is why I say, like, vote the way you consume, because this is what's going to impact you the most.
Yeah.
It's not a guy in Ottawa that want to tell me how I should live in Penticton.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
true.
So with this, I'll put it that way,
Yeah.
right? We should go back. You're right, on the old routine that we used to have. And I don't know about Jay, because I mean, I don't know how far your neighbor is, because you live on a farm. But I used to be able to. I used to know, when I was a kid, to know everyone around the block,
Mhm.
right? That
Mhm.
person is an angry elderly person, and you don't step on their land. We knew that,
Of
right? That
course.
person is the witch, because, well, it's just weird house. As the kids, we knew who we would go ask for cutting the grass, wash their car to make money, or babysit if it's the case, or whatsoever, right? I think that now less people don't know as much their neighbor. They don't want to, and so on and so forth. And I go further. I will
That's
go
true.
back to that story about the cold. And my wife told me that today, because she follow whatever the group online about the town we lives in. During that week, during that night, that we had that warning that the grid cannot support anything, there's someone a couple street down who decided to walk in their neighborhood and unplug every car.
Oh, lovely.
Now, there are some people who are fully upset, and some people who agree with what happened. And one of the person who was very upset said, I have someone who's about to die at home. It is minus 40 some degrees at night. And if I have to drive fast to the hospital, because we live 30 minutes from Calgary,
Mhm.
I need my car to start. So, as much I understand that people wants to follow suit on what we were told, right? We also have to mind our own fucking business and
Exactly.
respect the business of others,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is very important, because who are you to unplug my car if, let's say, I work at midnight as a cop and I need to drive, or whatever that is, right? Or you on call, or you are ABC. It is not their business, right? Um, so I think there's things that has to change or go back to what it used to be. The fear mongering that is happening throughout the Western, I mean, it's not, it's across the world, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere, man.
We've
Yeah.
seen it with COVID too. Like people are denouncing people, like, "Hey, they
Yeah.
are doing a Christmas party,"
Yeah.
and the government says no. Manage your business like it's not your business. Let us live. We want to live. We fear. It's all about fear. So
Yeah.
people react emotionally.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I agree with you, right? Like I mean, during COVID, there's stuff that I've seen. We had a list in town here of the store who did not give a shit if you wear a mask
Oh
or
yeah,
not,
that's
if you
cool.
were not vaccinated or not. But I also remember one thing that kind of blew my mind, and I've seen that on videos. It was Remembrance Day, 2001, and there's a veteran who, after the ceremony, wants to go to have a meal and was not allowed to, because he did not want to show his damn vaccination. And that blew my mind.
And
Um,
justice, man, it drives
and
me
that's
crazy
one
too.
day, and we have group of people who have weeks at a time and can do whatever they want, right? Or months, where it's totally accepted that by law it's criminal, but during that event they can do whatever they want. I think we're losing some of values, and I think part of it is due to internet. Everything is so accessible,
Mhm.
without winning your bread, right? Like working for that piece of bread, you get to it right away, or you get this right away. It's like the keyboard warriors. I'm waiting for this, Jay. There will be one eventually. We'll say that we're full of shit, and we
Well,
can
we
have that
probably
book.
are to some degree.
Oh yeah, no, and that
But
was part of the
yeah,
warning that we said earlier. It is all comedy. We're all here to
I'm
have
not true,
fun.
guys.
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're fictitious. You're just an AI creation.
yeah. This
Listen,
accent is lovely. That's
yeah.
why.
We're getting close to the end here. We've been
Yeah.
recording way longer than we normally do. That's okay though, because it's been fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about something quick and then get your final thoughts, Jeff,
Mhm.
because this really hit home for me, and I'm worried about the weaponization of police forces because of this. So I got lucky enough to be off work with PTSD when the protest was going on in Ottawa, when all the
Mhm.
truckers were occupying that downtown area near the Parliament. And what was it? Almost 1 million people ended up going down there.
I've been there actually.
You were there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in
So
Ottawa. Yeah.
so more than half of the members of my police service had to rotate through and go down there and do police security and be additional assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching in real time all of the things that were happening, and I was watching police officers that, and I know this because I've worked with them. Most police officers would have been dead set against what they had to do in the name of what they were being ordered to do. That they were actually violating their own moral code and their own ethics
Mm-hmm.
because they had to wear the uniform, and they were being ordered to like literally assault citizens who were exercising their rights in Canada.
This is what happened exactly. Yeah.
And so, I was off work and I was thinking like what John said. You fail to do that, you lose your job, you lose your career, you lose your six-figure salary, then you're bankrupt. You lose your family. Like for me, if I was at work and I would have refused this, there goes my farm. There goes my entire life
Mm-hmm.
because I stood up for my ethics, and I'm really concerned that there will be a weaponization at some point because of this, because there are people that are in positions where they must follow orders, and I'm also concerned about military. So I want to get your final thoughts, Jeff, on this and what you think, and then I always like to try and end things on a good note. So let's try and end things on a positive
Sure.
note, because you did say
Okay.
that the good always wins. So
Mhm.
yeah, finish it
So my
off. Take us home, Jeff.
okay. So you what I understood is like you worried about the weaponization and the control of those force that is police and army against the citizen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So your question is how to stop it, or
Well,
if we can stop
yeah,
it.
it was almost more of a statement, but at the same time, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. You had a
Okay.
dad, you had a father
Okay.
in special forces, and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
guys and girls in this. Like, should we be concerned? Is this a thing? And then some final thoughts on all of
So
this.
first of all, yeah, we should be concerned of what is happening because it's happening right now. And
Hmm.
if we just don't watch it coming, we're gonna be really surprised of that when it's gonna happen. We're gonna be shocked, and they can we when the government has the power and the money, they can have and do whatever they want. So we have to be prepared, and this is what I tell to people. It doesn't make you bad if you have firearms and if you train as a citizen or civilian or even as a police officer that is into that system for the good. Because as I said before, I'm not against police, I'm not against army. I don't trust government for sure.
Hmm.
It can work better than that, but I don't try to put everyone in the same box. Okay, there is good everywhere and there is bad everywhere. And but I mean, as citizen, as I like to say citizen because it includes whatever you are in this society, whatever is your job. We have responsibilities to protect our rights and values in the worst way possible because the evil is capable of the worst.
Hmm.
So we should be aware of it and be prepared. What I think is that the good always wins. So even if it takes, I always like to say and look back history because history is lessons that we should take example of. So I like to take the one about World War II because my great grandfather was a resistant. He's from Poland. At the beginning, he's from Poland, and he fought the Russians in the old war in Poland, and he relied on his age to protect himself, his right, his lands, and stuff like that. Those things we say we are losing, we can still have it. Okay, we just have to work on it. So after that, he went in France, and he fought in the resistance, and then he went into a camp, and he fought Germans as a resistance. And it was part of the 2% in a country and in a society that was corrupt, fully corrupt, but it was part of the 2% that decided it's a no. I'm going to train, I'm going to take responsibilities, and I'm going to fight back. However, or whatever is the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to fight back, even in a sneaky way. By the time it's for the good, and I know it's right in my deepest, in my inner self, I know it was the right, the good always wins. So it doesn't lie. I always tell to people, trust your guts.
Yep.
Mhm.
It never lies. It never lies. And in this situation, it's the same. So we know that we're talking about it not to share fear or say, yeah, you should think this way because it's cool. No, it's because it has sense, and when you think about it, it makes sense. You don't have the words to explain it, but it makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's the same in that way, that yes, government and those structures try to push and stuff like that, but the 2% can switch all the situation. Like we saw that, we've seen that during World War II. It's not because just of the Americans or the Russians coming up, because without the 2% that resisted into the territories or in the system that fought back, this is because of it, because you're like a cancer into the body of the people that want to control and be bad with people. So
Asterix
if
and
you
Obelix against the Romans, man.
exactly,
Yeah.
the empire is everywhere around, but they resist, and one day they win, and they free the land, and they free the right, the people, and whatever you want to free. You can do it because you resist, and people, and sometimes that's why I'm like, maybe I'm part of the 2%. Maybe I won't change anything, but at least I would try.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I'm pretty sure 100% we're gonna win, and I hope I'm gonna be on this earth again to to witnesses to witness it, and to be part of the winners. Like it was the like were the resistance during World War II,
Mhm.
when Paris were free. Most of the people were Vichists. They were for Vichy. Vichy is a government that were
We're supporting
was supporting
Hitler. Yeah.
Hitler. Yeah. So most of people were supporting that and say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you always had the 2% that say no. And a part of it is the goal that say like, okay, no, stop. We're gonna step back, get prepared, become responsible, know how to fight, all the things you need to win a war. And they went back stronger to help the people that were left on the territory and won the war. And look at France and Europe in the past. It was completely occupied by the Germans.
Mhm.
And now look at how it is now. Same for Rome in the past. In the past, with Rome and the Romans, they control everything. And now we stick in French. In France, we still speak French.
Yeah.
In Spain, Spanish, and wherever you're from, those people who decided to protect their culture, their rights, and their freedom. They never. I mean, the good's gonna work for you anyway. It's like
Yeah.
being positive energy, positive people around you. You are what you eat. You are what you consume. You. So work on it, and there is no reason that the universe, whatever you call it, God or the good or whatever, they're gonna work for you and gonna give you the power. Sometimes it sounds really long. Sometimes I'm like, when this shit show gonna end? But there is a timing, and this
Yeah.
time is pretty soon. If it's not 2024, it's before the agenda gonna
Collapse.
come to
Yeah.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You
It,
know what? I think no, sorry. I think what you're saying, Jeff, is fighting back doesn't mean going and starting to punch people in the face.
no, absolutely not. It's
But
spiritual.
what it means is we need more than 2% on this. Right? We need to increase that percentage of people that are willing to fight back. And I think what you can do is be a good example. Get your house in order. Get
Mhm.
yourself as fit as possible. Get yourself healthy. Make sure you're consuming social media the proper way. Make sure you're doing your research to find out what the truth is instead of being sold exactly what legacy media wants to tell you.
Mhm.
John and I have talked about this at length on different podcasts. It's
Yeah.
you got to make you the best, and then you create a little circle around you of way better, and then that little circle affects all of the other circles around you. And in
Exactly.
that way, that's fighting back without ever having to throw a punch. And
Yeah.
then the government loses its control when the people come together in a community.
And if we answer back this way, they have the power and the money to fight back. So it's not a good way to go with the firearms. So what I like to say most of the time is like, we are in a spiritual war.
Yeah,
We
that's
are in a
exactly
war where they want to control the mind and the spirit. And if they have it, this is what is inside. If you take out what you have inside you, your dreams, because we are free inside. You can make me a prisoner, but I'm still gonna be free inside. But if you take it out, if you have a control of what is inside by the technology, and this is the way to get inside. If they have it, we are lost.
Yep.
So
I
this
love
is
it.
what you
Yeah.
say. Depending how you consume social media, food, and whatever you want. It's the way to vote, and it's the way to make a change in this world, and
Yep.
it's a spiritual war. And what I like to say too, I want to add this is like the spiritual war gonna stay spiritual till we need to use the firearms or the axes or the swords or whatever you want to help to make that switch, because it's true to arrive to that age, and where we are strong enough, we can hit people on the face because they really deserve it for the bad they
Hmm.
do. And sometimes there is no other ways. Like
Yeah.
words are stronger, but sometimes it's good to send a fist in the face. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the example you give about France, the 2%, made one of the largest comic book in France, which is international. This is what Asterix and Obelix is from.
it is, yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Jason, I don't know if you know that.
No.
No, I'll send you the link because it's good. It's
And there
a
are
small
movies now
village.
too.
Yeah, there are movies. There's Quebecers actors in the French
Oh,
movie.
true, true.
Yeah, but it's a small village of like I would say maximum 30 person, and it's the only place that has not been taken over by Rome. So obviously they kind of move things around for history, but and then they have a magic potion, which is technically just believing in themselves and their culture
Mhm.
and wanting to keep it. They don't want to take over Rome. They don't want to. They want to live in their own stuff, in their own culture, eating warhog, warhog.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, right. And drink and be festive and hunt and gather the food for their families and so on. And
Yeah.
and it made a humong and like I remember as a kid, man, we were watching that before Christmas, because that's when all the movies would come out in comic, and then there's obviously the real actors that came up and so on and so forth. But um, that's literally it, and stand up for what you believe. So if
Mhm.
you believe that is wrong to hate everyone, great, right? I think it's a fantastic way of seeing things, because if I would have believed, and I'll go with this, what I was told in school, Jay, we would never speak. I would never speak that language either. I didn't speak that language until I was 18. So I would have kept this. If I would have believed that, like the military put me in a room with a bunch of people on waiting platoon, we watch Taliban blowing up American and Canadian soldier while being in Afghanistan. So we hate them for a good reason, because if you go to war, you need to hate somehow, right? You need to have a form of a power where you don't question yourself. Um, so we hated them, right? But them as a whole, now I hate everyone who are Arabic, right? Which is totally insane to think. Why would
It's
I do
crazy, yeah.
that? Right?
Yep.
So there's fantastic people everywhere. There's bad people everywhere. But I do strongly believe that there's more good people
It is.
than bad people. The
That's the
only
truth.
difference is the good people go on their life. They want to be happy. And I don't think that happiness is a social construct. I think happiness can be found everywhere. I think how we define happiness has been changed and modified by social construct. That's different. But
Yep.
happiness can be found everywhere, under every rock, and every single joyful moment. This conversation has been beyond fantastic. And we are from all different places. And,
Yep.
and there's nothing that stop us. I'm sure we don't agree with all the things in life and so on and so forth, which is fine. This is what diversity is. What I don't understand, and that will be for a different conversation and later on another podcast, is we're from a generation where the 80s and 90s, there was no colors. There was no religion. We were all in the same pack of
We
hole and
didn't care
crap
about
and
that.
so on. No. And then as the 2000 goes on, things kind of change. Is it
Mhm.
because of war? Is it because of terror? Is it because there's million of reasons why we can find that? Sometimes it's not important to find a reason. Sometimes it's important to go back to your values and accepting that the reason there that you've been seeking for is not important. Liking people as they are and respecting others
Mhm.
is far more important than that, right?
Yep.
Well
Yep.
said.
Jeff, where
Yeah.
can people find you?
Well, so in person, it can be in Penticton in BC,
Okay.
where I'm gonna build the largest obstacle course in Canada, more
Very
than
cool.
80 obstacles. So I can't wait. I'm gonna start the construction like in spring, and with different kind of boot camps too.
Yep.
Through that, it's not just an obstacle course; it's gonna be more than that.
Sweet.
And other than that, so online you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I have a website, mlkabilities.com.
Okay.
You can find two different kind of accounts. One is MLK Abilities and one is MLK Abilities Elite. I decided to split it out because it's not everybody nowadays. We talked about that is agree with firearms, so it can be shock. So you have to be careful. So I decided to split it up. So one is about tactical stuff like CQB, and the other is more about boot camp, self-defense, and mindset and stuff like that. So yeah, it's most on the platforms. And for the French speaker, I also have a podcast that is named MLK Abilities Podcast, simply. Maybe I'm
Okay.
going to try one day when I'm going to have a better English.
Your English is fine, man.
Thank you very much. I
You did
appreciate
really well. Yeah.
Yeah, for the
Everything's
people,
going to be in the show notes below, guys.
Yeah.
Jeff's links and the things that we've talked to about today.
Yeah. And one last link is a YouTube channel that I just started
Okay,
in
so you've
French
got
and in
YouTube.
English, which I teach free content about how to come back to basics, and I show how to. And yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah.
To end it off, I'm just going to say this. Whatever you believe doesn't matter. If you've watched this show and we're talking about conspiracy theories, doesn't matter. Look around the world and see that we are in a transition phase right now.
Mhm.
And what Jeff is speaking to is the clear definition of what everybody needs to do, is to make themselves the best possible person they can, to get involved in their community and try and help one another. And that's how we overcome evil. And hopefully we'll have you back here
that's
again
beautiful.
soon, Jeff, especially once you've got that obstacle course built and we can talk about that.
For sure.
And I hope you join us again on the Raven Chronicles with Muninn and Huginn.
Thank you very much.
Peace.
Cheers.
Peace.